Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So in this video, I will be talking about BoJack Horseman season 1 actually. तो मैंने BoJack Horseman जो शो है वो कल देखना शुरू किया था. मैंने आज सीजन 1 फिनिश कर लिया. मुझे शो बहुत अच्छा लगा. अभी तक शो लाइक 2014 में रिलीज हुआ था, तो बहुत टाइम हो चुका है. मैक्सिमम लोगों ने देख चुका होगा ये शो अभी तक. बट या मैंने अभी जस्ट फर्स्ट सीजन फिनिश किया एंड आई एम एक्चुअली रियली लविंग दिस शो सो फार. And I don't know कि I will be able to add anything with this video क्योंकि it's been like more than 10 years since this show has been aired. So I think अभी तक जो भी बातें होनी होंगी हो चुकी होंगी, but still let's talk about it. So all right, so this will contain spoilers. अगर आप लोगों ने नहीं देखा है तो I would highly recommend it कि at least season 1 is pretty good. That's I mean अभी तक तो मैंने उतना ही देखा है. I will finish the rest of the seasons pretty soon as well. So, alright. So, spoiler alert, let's get into it. So, let me give you an overview of the season 1. So, Bojack Horseman is basically, has been, he had a pretty famous TV show back in the 90s. He earned a lot of money, but now he's like quite old and doesn't get a lot of job. He's by himself, quite alone, depressed, and he's trying to make write a book about his life so that everybody will be like, all right, he's still amazing. I love that guy. Get famous again and all that. So that's the basic premise कि बोजैक हॉर्समैन को अपनी एक बुक लिखनी है एंड वो चाह रहे कि उसकी बुक पॉपुलर हो जाए एंड देन ही विल बी हैप्पी. सो all right, let's break it down into like what happens in all the episodes. So there are like 12 episodes. Now I am no psychologist or anything, but uh, I will try to uh, talk about what I think this has meant. So all right, let's start with the first episode. So the first episode is basically about Bojack not being able to write his story. So he has been contacted by a penguin that's a publisher. So, in this universe, it's like all the animals and humans are coexisting, and animals are like pretty much humans, as like they are acting and doing everything, same environment they are living in, and they are like just other people. So Horseman has contacted a penguin who is a publisher, and it has been like 1.5 years now, and the penguin publisher is broke, and he is about to sell his building because he can't afford to keep it going, and he has all his hopes pinned down on Bojack. That Bojack की जो story है, it will save me. It will save me from bankruptcy. It will help me see my children again and all that. And Bojack, on the other hand, he has been putting it off for like 1.5 years. He's like, what do I write? Chapter 1. That's interesting. Basically, he has become George R.R. Martin. So he hasn't written anything so far. And the penguin is concerned that if he doesn't get the book by the end of the year, he won't have anything. So he says ki, I will assign you a ghostwriter. She will live with you. She'll write about your experiences and we'll be done with it. So Bojack is very reluctant about it because he doesn't want people to actually know him. See, so Bojack basically has some nice elements in him, but in all fairness, the things he do that are not that nice, he's kind of a horrible person. All right, let's first of all let's go through all the episodes, then we'll talk about it. So he's reluctant at first, but when he meets the ghostwriter Diane on a rooftop party, which was being hosted by his roommate Todd, which isn't really his roommate because he doesn't pay rent or anything. Bojack just took him in because honestly, Bojack was very lonely and Todd needed help. So they basically started living together for like 5 years. They met at a party and he was like, all right, you can live here. He acts like he doesn't want him there, but he is pretty lonely without him. So he entertains. So Todd had thrown the party because he, spent the cartel's money and the cartel had her daughter's birthday, but that's not very important. It doesn't get picked up. So he meets the writer there and they kind of hit it off. And then we are introduced to this another character who is Mr. Peanut Butter, and he's a dog. So he has the dog characteristics like he would chase a postman and he would get excited at stuff and everything. So, and he's very nice. He loves Bojack. He thinks like Bojack is his best friend. They were both in TV shows at the same time. Bojack thinks that Mr. Peanut Butter ripped off his show, making the almost with the same concept. But Mr. Peanut Butter quite likes him, and then he realizes that Diane and Mr. Peanut Butter are in a relationship and he gets pissed about it because he doesn't really like Mr. Peanut Butter. But he's like, all right, let's just get to the writing. So that's what happens in first episode. We are also introduced to the cat Princess Caroline, who is the agent of Bojack, and they are like on and off. They were dating, but then they broke up. Then again, they slept together the other night. So she's a constant in his life. She's there. They have their on and offs, but at the end of the day, they work together. So yeah. So then that's what happens in the first episode. Now let's get to the next one. So this is not to do much with the writing the book part, a bit of side quest, but it was a fun episode. So it's about him going to grocery store and he was in the fruit section. He saw fence and he was like, all right, let's see what it is. Then there comes this seal who was a Navy SEAL. So it's like an actual animal seal. So he's like, that's the joke, Navy SEAL. So yeah, the seal says to him that I kept the box there, it's mine, I called dibs on it. And he's like, you don't understand dibs, I don't even want it, I was just looking at it. And he gets over possessive, like, no, it's my box, give it back to me. So Bojack buys it off just to piss the seal, and then he realizes that the seal was in the navy, and he went on news and said like, Bojack is really bad person. He doesn't like the navy. He doesn't respect me. I served 2 years in Afghanistan, and that's how you treat your heroes. And Bojack being very, insecure and narcissistic, he couldn't hear bad things about him. So he just went on news despite being suggested otherwise by his friends. And he said like, you know what, most of the people are douchebag right now, and giving them guns and providing them license to kill other people doesn't make them good automatically. He says that for the army because they do kill people, and he is like, all right, I'm not saying everybody is bad, but I think a lot of people are, and giving them guns doesn't make them a hero automatically. But the news channel being the news channel twists his words and says like he hates army men, he hates the nation, and then Bojack has to go into hiding. The whole thing escalates, and Bojack in the end says sorry, like, all right, you can have the muffins, but then we realize that he didn't even have muffins, he just gave him the stale bread, which actually he didn't even give him the stale bread, he took it with him. So they come to a settlement in the end. He grew closest to Diane, and they share a moment like Diane says that she used to go to the roof and see the stars with her father. That gets Bojack to talk about his childhood, which is like, all right, my parents weren't that great with me. My dad didn't really love me that much. and the mother was quite, like pissed with it as well. So he did not have a great childhood, but he is in denial, like, no, no, everything was all right. That's just how it's supposed to be. It's nothing crazy. I mean, everybody faces that, right? So, yeah. So that's what Bojack's thought process was like, all right, everything is good with me. He just keeps pushing away his problems. He does not want to, you know, face his problems. So that's what happens in the second episode. He starts opening up with Diane. Then that's it for the second one. Then we move on to the third episode where Bojack meets with the child actor who worked with him. So, alright, Bojack was the horse on the show Horsing Around, which was like based on the concept a horse adopts three children and they live with him. And it's a sitcom, people enjoy it. So, we are shown that the kid looks up to Bojack, but Bojack, being at the high time of his career, he doesn't give a fuck about anything. He's like, what do you think? I will spend my weekend with you. Doing what? A child. I won't entertain that. And you always have to perform to the audience. As long as the audience are happy, you will be happy. So, in the forming years of the child, he put that idea that you have to cater to the audience all the time. If you are not catering to them, you are done. No one gives a fuck about who you are, what you're doing. Just smile and dance in front of the audience. And that's what happens. She grows up, she becomes a sex symbol for a time. Then she gets a bit older. She's like 30 or something. So people move on from her, like, all right, you are not that sexy anymore. There's new girl in the market. We like her more, and you are done. Then she starts dating Andrew Garfield. She has serious drug problems. And see, the show is a comedy, but it carries some heavy undertones. Like, a girl is facing severe, drug addiction problems and all that because what? People moved on. What have we become as a society? It underlines that, and it then goes back to being happy and funny for time being. So, yeah. All right. So, yeah, Andrew breaks up with him. She stabs herself. Bojack helps her out, and she says, no, I don't want to go to the rehab. So Bojack is like, all right, you can stay with me for some time. And Diane says that, is this you trying to, make up for what you did on her forming years or, how your parents treated you? And again, Bojack denies everything. Like, he's like, no, I'm not like other humans. I don't face any problems. I'm happy with my life. I can deal with everything. I have a perfect life. Everyone wants to be me. So Bojack thinks like that. So he denies anything. He does not want to look weak in front of anyone. So, I mean, that's what his father taught him. He was like, anytime Bojack wanted affection or anything, he's like, no, go away. Stare at the wall. Keep hitting your head till your brain gets in the right place. So Bojack didn't have that great parents. So his idea of the world is a bit crooked. Like, things should be in a certain way, then only I will be accepted. And he wants to be accepted by the society. So he keeps her and the kid, not really kid, but the actor who played with Bojack and I can't remember her name right now. Let's go with Scarlett, all right. So yeah, she is kind of using Bojack. She is having party at his house, doing drugs, all sorts of things, and Bojack is like, oh no, she's all right. She just needs some, old type of love and all that. So he takes her out and goes on adventure park and everything, trying to, recreate what he had back in the day. But it doesn't work. They come back and they're like, all right, you need to, stop using me. And then she is like, I can do anything, and things, I don't know, just escalate and they have sex. So that happens, and some pigeons who are like paparazzi click their photos and like, all right, we'll use this to blackmail him, and they fly away. So that's what happens in the third episode. Bojack basically, says, all right, I'm not responsible for this. She's an adult. She also wanted this. We both have a drug problem. It's society's fault. He does not want to take any responsibility. Yes, it has, some elements of society being at fault, but after all, you have to take some responsibility for your actions as well, which Bojack totally denies. He's like, yeah, no, it's not my problem. People did this. So that happens in the third episode. Then we come to the next one. In this episode, Diane confronts Bojack that he is too lonely and does not want to live by himself. That's why he's keeping Todd with him for so long, even though he is a freeloader. So Bojack says, "No, I don't want anybody. I would love to be with myself." And trying to kick him out, but I just am not able to because he doesn't do anything. And then she says that whatever ideas, Todd presents, Bojack just straight up rejects him, doesn't offer any uh, better ideas or anything. He just discourages him. So she says, you should encourage him, you should help him out. You have been a movie star for so long, you must know few things. So Bojack, says, all right, fine, I can do that. I don't care if he lives with me or not. I'll help him move out. So they work together on a project. So it's like a rock opera or something. Basically, Bojack and Todd writes a great compelling story. They have a weak third act. So the producer is like, all right, work on that and then present it to us next week and we'll figure something out for you. But when Bojack actually realizes that he might move out and things are working for him, he sabotages it. So Todd had a gaming problem. So he flunked out of school because decathlon or something game came out and he kept on playing that whole day and he kept playing till his mother kicked him out. So, you know, Bojack uses that, he plants that in front of him just day before his program. So he spends the whole day playing the game and then later on he fails miserably and Bojack comes out there and supports him that all right, he's perfect the way he is. He does not need any producers or anything. Come on, Todd, let's go home. And he burns the bridge with the producer so Todd can never do that again. So basically he pulls a Walter White kind of here when he poisons the kid and then you know con- uh, what do we say, comforts Aaron Paul's characters Jesse like, oh, it's all right, it was Gus who did it, come on, you're serious with me. He does that exactly, but a bit different. He has paid actors and plants the thing and all that. So basically it's like Bojack wishes for something, he gets it, and then he realizes it does not matter anymore. I don't even want it. So that's what happens here. We also see that Bojack is actually very lonely. He wants someone to be around. I see some, similarities between Bojack and Jesse. When Jane dies in Breaking Bad, Jesse is like very depressed and he keeps himself surrounded by a lot of people all the time because he does not want that silence. He does not want to think about what has happened. I think that's the same thing with Bojack here. But alright, let's get going. The video is already 20 minutes long. We haven't even finished half of it. Alright, let's get it done. So, in the fifth episode, we realized that Diane's father had died and he wasn't actually that great, and she just lied to Bojack so he could open up. And she isn't that affected by her father's death. She's like, all right, let's go, Bojack. We'll get there, do it in a few hours, and then we'll be back by evening. So Bojack says, all right. And so far, he thinks that Diane is like a completely functional human being. She has no problem. She has figured everything out. But when she visits her home and he comes with her, he realizes that she's not loved very much at home. Her mother despises her because she left the home to pursue her dreams. Her brothers doesn't do anything. They just sit on the couch. Their father has been dead for like a day and they haven't done anything. They were waiting that, all right, you do the funeral arrangements and all that. So he realizes that she also comes from a broken family, but Bojack has never had any brothers, so he bonds with Diane's brothers and they have a fun time. They make fun of Diane and they also tell a story that Diane has been very lonely since she was a child, and her brothers used to write her letters from some other, like by the name Leo or something. And they were like, "Oh, we are just two lonely people. The world doesn't understand us. They are all idiots, and just we understand each other. We are perfect for each other." And on the prom night, they had a homeless guy to go with her to embarrass her. And in looking at it, it was very horrible, but their brothers find it very funny, and Bojack is like, "Oh no, no, you won't get it, it's a brothers thing," and he bonds with her brothers. But after making all the arrangements and everything, she realizes that they had chopped up his father into a tank or something, and they had planned to throw him onto a baseballer's face or something like that. So she gets really pissed and she just leaves. So at first, Bojack, leaves to help her, but then the brothers say, "Oh, don't leave, Bojack. Come sit with us, have some fun." But he's like, "No, I have to go." She looked very upset actually, and he does go after her. See, Bojack is not completely a bad person, but he is very selfish and he does not care much about what other people feel. So at times he does some good things as well. Like he did help Todd write his story. He did give him feedback, but when he realized that, all right, he might, actually leave me and this might cause any troubles to me, I don't want to do it anymore. So he he will help you as long as it is, easy for him. But yeah, he's not that great, but he has some redeeming qualities. I mean, at least in season one. I don't know what happens in the later seasons. I mean, maybe if this video does well, I will make another one on the final season or, the whole thing in one video. But alright, let's get going. So, yeah, he comforts Diane and he connects with her more and they become more friendlier than before. Earlier, it was like, I don't like this. She won't understand me. She's a functional person. I have so many, sad things happening to me. I can't, she won't relate to my problems. But after seeing this, they get closer and yeah, they become better friends as well. So next episode, we see that Bojack has started to like Diane, and as we know that she is dating Mr. Peanut Butter, he comes to pick her up. Oh, and at the same time, Todd goes to jail because he was committing identity theft, but he later breaks out of it. So yeah, side quest for Todd. So yeah, Peanut Butter and Diane basically they have a competition like, all right, they both are trying to impress her. I can do 20 push-ups, I can do 30. I can pay the bill. I can, buy free drinks for everyone. I can, take them out to on my chopper. I can buy the restaurant, and it becomes a dick measuring contest. Like I can do better than you can. And Diane gets bored and she just falls asleep, but they keep doing this. And later on, Peanut Butter goes like, "All right, man, maybe you do win, but I mean, I'm taking the girl with me, so enjoy your wins or whatever. But I'm the actual winner here." So in the night, Bojack gets totally drunk and he steals the D from the Hollywood sign, and he drags it back to his house, and he calls Diane. But when he actually wakes up and realizes that, oh shit, what have I done? So he's like, all right, I have to dispose this, but what do I do? So Mr. Peanut Butter comes and he says, all right, I know you stole the D from the Hollywood sign, so I'll help you. And he helps Bojack get rid of the D, but he uses it to benefit himself. So he says that I stole the D because my love for Diane is just so much that I stole it. And when they make love a crime in New York, then I will hang my badge. A cop says that. So that happens. Bojack gets more pissed, even though he did help. Peanut Butter did help him, but he's like, he stole the credit for me. It's all over, like his TV show, And there is this whole Zoe and Zelda thing. So there are two people. Zoe is pessimistic, one a bit too realistic that, oh, this can't happen, this can't happen. And Zelda is the optimistic one who's always happy and everything. So yeah, that's from Mr. Peanut Butter show. So yeah, and Diane basically chooses Peanut Butter because she is actually dating him. And Bojack gets his heart broken, but he's like, oh no, I am all right. It's better that she left me. He calls Caroline, and he's always like, if something bad happens, he's like, oh, it's the best thing that has happened to me. Now I can focus on X, Y, Z, whatever. So that's what he does. All right, so I had to, re-record this because I had paused the video and narrated like three more episodes. So let's make it quick. So in episode 7, we see Caroline struggling with his office. They have a merger, but she comes on top. Basically, that's it for that episode. And Bojack calls her and says that, all right, I would need some good news at the end of the day because I'm going to meet one of my old friends who hates me now. Now, we in the next episode we are shown what Bojack is going to do. So Bojack is meeting with his old friend who wrote the show Horseman Around, and basically he made Bojack famous. But then we are shown that he was actually a closeted gay during the 90s, and as soon as people came to know about it, they cancelled the show. Like, we won't watch it if there's a gay man writing it. So he says, all right, Bojack, you gotta help me, man. If you would say that I won't work if you fire my friend, they can't fire me. You are the main star of the show. And Bojack says, all right, man, I'll help you. But as soon as he's like confronted by the producer, he's like, he folds. He's like, all right, man, you can kick him. And here again, we see that Bojack is ready to help, but only when it suits him actually, like it's easy for him. So, yeah, and we are also shown a deer that used to date his friend Henry, who wrote the show, but as he was gay, he wasn't really into her. He just was with her because for the sake of it. And the deer wasn't into him either. She was more into Bojack, and she says that, do you think if we would have met, before I met Henry, would you have asked me out? And she replies to her own question by saying, no, I don't think you would have had the courage. And in the later episode, we are shown it as a road not taken type of thing. What would have happened if he would have chose to be with the deer? But yeah, that's what happens in this episode. And then we are back to the dinner. So they had almost a good time. They crack a few jokes, nothing too serious. And after that, they are leaving, and Diane says maybe you should apologize to him, for not standing up for him back in the day. Because he seemed a bit chill now. So Bojack is like, all right, yeah, you're right, I should go. And when he goes in there to apologize to him, his friend says, no, I'm not forgiving you. I won't let you, get closure. You know, you fucked me over, man. I can't just be like, all right, it's all right. I don't even care that you didn't stand up for me, but you didn't even contacted me. I needed a friend then, and you just avoided me. So yeah, I'm not forgiving you. They had a bit of a fight, and we see Bojack just then getting really pissed about it, and that's when the last episode's final scene comes from, where he's like nothing even matters anymore, just fucking screw it, I don't care. And then we see Bojack trying to kiss Diane, and Diane just says, no, no, we are just friends. And things get weird. She just runs away. She doesn't want to spend any more time with him. So she's not like outright, you know, disgusted or hateful towards him. She just, she wants to maintain some distance, friend zone basically. So yeah, that happens. Then we get to the ninth episode. Here Diane marries to Peanut Butter, and it all happened so fast. So earlier it was like the date was set for next year, but she's like, this build up is making me very anxious. So they're like, all right, let's do it this month only. And Bojack is trying to sabotage this because he thinks that Mr. Peanut Butter is not good enough for her and she should be with Bojack. So he's trying everything to sabotage their wedding, but he basically ends up, getting them married even earlier. So they are like, let's just get married this week. We are told that Mr. Peanut Butter had like one or two previous weddings, so he's like, I don't even care. I have had the big wedding, whatever suits you. So they just marry, have a close friend group, and all while this is happening, Todd discovers that Bojack sabotaged his whole rock opera thing by giving him the game basically. But he doesn't overreact or anything. He's like, yeah, man, that's just Bojack. He's a horrible person. If I stop expecting from him, he won't disappoint me anymore. So, he's just, oh, it happens. What can you do about it? Like that. And Bojack gets tied up in a court hearing and he couldn't sabotage it. Then he attends their wedding and he's very sad about it. And I couldn't stop it. And he's okay, I just accept it. And kind of realizes that what he was doing was wrong. So, see, Bojack, at a lot of times, he realizes that what he's doing isn't right. He shouldn't be doing it, but he just does it because he can't control it, Like it happens a lot with even we know that if I do this, I won't get to do what's more important to me. Like, let's say Instagram. I want to complete my work, but alright, I'm scrolling. I don't feel like doing it right now, so let's just keep on scrolling. I know it's not right, but I don't want to stop it or anything. So that's the same thing with Bojack as well. He knows what he's doing is not right, but he looks like he has no control over the whole thing. Then in the next episode, we are shown that the movie Princess Caroline got for Bojack. He's working in it, and he's the movie is about that stolen D from Hollywood sign where Bojack is playing Mr. Peanut Butter. So Quentin Tarantulino or something like that, basically wordplay on Quentin Tarantino's name. See, a lot of funny moments are there in the show. I mean, it's funny to me. Comedy is very subjective. You might not like it. I will complete this, then I will get into how I started watching it. So yeah, they are doing the movie, and Bojack is, as always, just pissed at everything around him. Like, oh, why do I have to do this? He feels like everything is beneath him. He's like made only for good movies which are made by excellent directors only for Oscars, and he thinks that all this is beneath him, but he's doing it because, well, her agent has got the movie, so he has to do it. And then we are shown that Quentin is taking advice that it feels something is off. So what should we do? So Todd recommends him that maybe you should increase the Diane's part in it. So he said all right, and then they increase Diane's part, completely reduces Bojack's, and all he has to do is say true that, and that's all he does. And Bojack thinks that Todd is really pissed at him and he's fucking him over because, well, he destroyed his plan to, become a opera rock star or whatever. But Todd just does it accidentally, he does not have any ill intentions. He's just actually suggesting his own ideas, and Quentin seems to be really loving them. And this episode ends with, them saying, you know what, screw the movie. Let's just make a snack basket, and it would be like once every 2 months or something. And Quentin is like, yes, that's the creativity I was looking for, and they just scrapped the whole movie. And he was getting close with the actress who was playing Diane, but the actress was like, I was just playing the character, man. I don't really like you. And Bojack gets dumped again. So he has, a lot of sad stuff happening with him, but at times it does feel like he deserved it because he does a lot of horrible stuff as well. So we are shown a scene where this actress is talking to Diane to, get to know her, like staying in character or whatever. So she says, so what about the marriage? How is it feeling? So Diane said, yes, it was the happiest day of my life. But yes, it was my happy ending, but there is a day after your happy ending, and then a day after that. So, if that was my happiest day, what does it say about the rest of my life? Would it be deteriorating or something? So, and funnily enough, the last two episodes are named like, hold on, let me check the names. So, yeah, episode 11 is named Downer Ending, and 12 is named as Later. Now, it may be something else, but from what I've gathered, it shows like, alright, it had a downer ending, but then there is a day after that, and then a day after that. It's not something you just have one happy ending and it's over. You keep going. So, yeah, that happens. So, in that episode, Bojack is, like, he confronts Todd, and Todd is like, man, I don't care. I have accepted the person you are, and I don't expect much from you anymore. So that happens in the episode. Then in the 11th episode, which is the second last episode, we are that Diane has completed the book, and it has been sent to the publisher. And when Bojack reads it, he realizes that Diane does not see him as a heroic person or anything. He sees him for who he actually is. He's not a great person, and she has written that only. But when he reads it, he gets very insecure. Like, how can you publish this? People won't think of me as some great hero. They would think that I'm just like them. People don't want to see that. Dan says what I have written is actually good. You should give it a chance. Now, Bojack says no, this is not getting published. But Dan leaked the first few chapters on the internet, which is like not really nice because it is after all his life. He gets to choose what he wants to portray, what he doesn't. But she later on actually not really apologizes because he was stripped. But yeah, she does that, and Bojack is like, you know what? I will write a better book in a week. You don't publish this. So the pigeon is like, all right, man. If you can bring me a book by Friday, I won't publish this. And in the whole thing, actually, Bojack, humiliates Diane as well. He says like, oh, it's not my fault. You are not loved, and you are a nerd who didn't get to go to prom. And Diane is actually a bit sad by that, and she says, "I am disappointed," and she leaves. So for the next few days, Bojack tries to write, but he is not great at it. That's why he required a ghostwriter in the first place. So he asked for some drugs from Scarlett, who was the junior artist or whatever. I don't remember her name. A name I gave. So yeah, and he contacts a doctor, and he's like, "All right, these are the drugs that I give to who have to write their exams. It will help you focus So that's what they do. They take a bunch of them. They are overdosed and completely tripping. They wrote like 25, 30 pages, and after that they are having all sorts of dreams. Here we are shown that what could have happened if he would have chosen to go with the deer instead of pursuing this Hollywood life. But it's all in his mind. He also sees that Diane is apologizing to him, but it's a dream sequence, so she's not really apologized. So all that stuff happens, and he wakes up realizing that what was I even thinking? She is actually a good writer, and he goes to a ghostwriter thing which was organized by the Pigeon. And he goes to the mic and asks, "Do you really think that I'm stuck like this forever? I can't change anymore." And he begs Dan to tell him that, Dan, tell me, you have to tell me that I'm a good person, I can still change. And the episode ends. Dan does not say anything that if he's a good person or not. And yeah, that's how the episode ends. Bojack is like almost at his lowest. He does not get the approval that he needs. And they are going to publish the book. He is quite sad. And the next episode starts with him winning the Golden Globe because his book was so good that everyone loved him, and people are actually, back. Oh, he's the horse from Horseman around. They are asking for his autograph, and he's a bit famous again. He's not happy. He's still very depressed. Like, so what? I've won a Golden Globe. Nobody really cares. So what am I doing? And he hasn't talked to Diane much either. They just last time they saw was at that convention. So he sets a new goal, which is basically he has always wanted to do a movie called Secretariat, which was about a horse race. Who was his hero when he was young? He wrote even a letter to the Secretariat due to cheating accusations and stuff. He jumped off a bridge, and that was the end of his story. But Bojack has always wanted to portray him, and he couldn't do that earlier. But now that he had won the Golden Globe, he had a chance. So he asked Princess Caroline make an arrangement, and she did actually get him the role. Well, Andrew Garfield got the role, but then he got injured due to some weird ideas from Todd and Mr. Peanut Butter's business, which was, a side quest kind of. It was funny, but so he gets injured, Bojack gets the call, and then he goes to the roof where Diane is sitting, and the whole house is having a party, and both of them sitting at top, and he tells her that now that I've gotten, what do I do? And she says that isn't that what life is? Wanting to get a thing. Either you feel to get it and you get horribly depressed, or you get it and then you have no more goals. So what can you do? It is what it is. And that's where the show ends. The first season actually, not the show. There are a lot of seasons which I will be finishing and maybe even making a new video. So maybe the last few episodes would have felt rushed in the narration because I had to do it twice. I apologize for that. So, alright. I started watching Bojack like 2 years ago when I first watched an episode of it. And at that time, I was like, what, 17 or something. So, the animation didn't appeal that much to me, so I dropped it at that time. Then, yesterday, I started watching it again and I really enjoyed. Maybe the animation might feel that great for some people, but that's not the selling point. It's actually the deep undertones and some of the comments. A lot of people can't relate to both. The characters are they feel like actual people, even though they are not. They are like horses or pigeons and whatever. But they face problems. It's not just like happy. It's not anthology. A lot of comedy shows like something happens in this episode, the next one is completely different, like it never happened. In this, there are consequences of the actions. So yeah, I'm very excited to see the next one. Um, I don't know if I'm missing anything, but yeah, I would highly recommend you checking it out. That's the season one of BoJack Horseman. From I love the show. There are a lot of good. BoJack is a flawed character. That's what we even see from the book. People love a flawed character. no one is white or black I mean people are white and black, but like no one acts completely good or completely bad. People are good people with some bad traits and some bad people with good traits. So that's why we love this. That's why people love Game of Thrones. That's why people love Mahabharata. People are not, just black and white characters. They have some good and evil, and there are some evil and good. So, I don't know, man. What am I even doing? I'm no psychologist, so yeah, that's what I feel about the first season of this. Thanks for watching. Let me know if I missed anything. Bye bye.